In a sea of French production boats, a name we don't talk about enough is Elan. And yes, you may know that name because it's synonymous with skis and snowboards. But the Slovenian company has been making some form of boats since the 1950s, and today they're making one heck of a competitor in the 40-something foot cruising sailboat market. Elan is a Slovenian company specializing in the production of sporting goods. It's best known for its skis and snowboards, but other products include sailboats from 30 to 50 feet, motor yachts, apparel, mostly sportswear, and equipment for sporting facilities. The company originated from a Slovene partisan workshop that operated during the Second World War when skis were being produced for the Yugoslavian partisan forces. Elan skis and sailing yachts are made in Slovenia. Elan snowboards are manufactured in Austria, and its motor yachts are produced in Croatia. The group markets its products through independent distributors in 46 countries all over the world, with marketing taken over by Elan's own companies for North America, Japan, Germany, and Switzerland. On 13 March 2013, Elan's subsidiary company, located in Carinthia, announced bankruptcy. Elan Austria had liabilities of €8.7 million. 78 employees and 120 creditors were affected by those bankruptcies. The Slovenian state organization, SDH, which is in charge of privatization activities in Slovenia on behalf of the government, gave its approval for the sale of the state-owned ski maker Elan to Merrill Lynch International and Wilton Enterprises Limited. So, with a sordid history financially and an incredible successful track record of making skis and snowboards, what about their sailboats? Designing a boat that will have a production run of 20 years is very rare. Genuine production boats tend to have a shelf life of about 10 years or less, but not so for Rob Humphreys, the designer of the Elan Impression's 434. This is the old boat, which enjoyed a hugely successful life of just over 19 years, in various models, all with the same hull. To have drawn lines that lasted that long is quite a feat. In all, over 600 of the 434, 45, and 45-1 variants were built. When Elan decided to update the model, they went back to Humphreys Yacht Design for their new boat, the Elan Impression 43 that we're talking about today. The brief was simple: do it the same, but better. Elan were after a boat that was sort of an evolution of that very successful older model, but that offered more appealing attributes of the old Impression model. And this is what we got, the Impression 43. At first glance, the fold-down transom and twin helm may make you think you're looking at a Jeanneau, with bright white glasswork and black wheels. The extremely precise CNC machine teak work standing in contrast very beautifully. But this cockpit is packed with cool innovations. At the back to port in that locker is a barbecue, and opposite the locker on starboard is a sink. The tables in the middle actually fold out and then drop down to make a huge sunbathing platform, which would be super cool in a beautiful anchorage at night. And Elan does this sloping wall thing at the front of the cockpit, making the forward seats very secure and protected from the wind and waves, coupled with the Dodger making it more comfortable than it would have been otherwise. The French boats don't do this. Headed up the side deck, we note the lack of a main sheet traveler, replaced by a bridle system we see on so many cruising boats now, with mid-boom sheeting. The chain plates are bolted to the side of the hull and hidden by a removable panel, which we kind of like. It makes it easy to inspect and fix things as time goes on. All the lines from the mast disappear neatly under a cover on the coach top and head back to the coach top electric winch. This mast is deck-stepped, keeping with what will be an obvious theme with this boat. Comfort and ease of use come first. Headed up front, we note the lack of a full bow rail, meaning it might be a little hard to keep kids or small animals from falling overboard when they inevitably head up to the bow while under sail, but the molded bowsprit gives us a standard roller for the self-tacking jib and a tack for a bigger head sail forward. We have a few options on this boat, like a big Jeanneau or other light wind sails. Taking a cue from some of the French boats, the anchor roller is molded in to the sprit, limiting the potential for a straight shank anchor, which is kind of a bummer. If you're a straight shank Rockna person, you'll have to adapt if you buy one of these boats because your anchor just won't fit. I have to note here that the build quality for a smaller company is exceptional. I've been reading reviews of Elan's for the last week, and everyone says the same thing. The quality is either on par or better than all the other production boats. Elan takes their time to finish everything properly, and it shows on this deck. And for a company that makes a lot of composite products, they really do have superior up-to-date technology. This hull is resin-infused, vacuum-bagged to save time and weight, but the hull is cored. The only solid sections are around the keel and rudder posts. And while we mentioned rudder posts, this is a twin helm, twin rudder, but Elan does it in a very cool way. It has two completely separate steering systems. Each wheel has its own mechanics leading to its own rudder. After they're all done and in place, they're joined from the quadrant with a metal bar. So it doesn't have to have an emergency tiller in place, because if one system were to fail, you can disconnect that joining bar and use the completely separate system to steer the boat, which is pretty cool. The rig on this boat, as I said, is deck stepped. It's a Selden fractional rig with double spreaders standing at 65 feet. Headed aft, we have another look at the mid-sheeting on the boom. The loss of sail shape from this sort of sheeting is definitely a compromise, but the lack of traveler means less moving parts, less space taken up, less to go wrong, and maybe an easier boat to live with, sacrificing sailing performance for comfort and livability. This is a cruising boat, though we do note they took the time to put a backstay which can be mechanically tensioned, though I think most cruisers probably wouldn't bother. Headed inside is where Elan sets themselves apart really on this boat. They contracted an Italian design company to do the interior, and it is different. What they've done in here is save time and money, but also make it very unique. This is knotty oak in the finish, which is meant to be rustic, with loads of character, but then they've accented it with modern matte gray cabinet doors and gray upholstery, and honestly, I think they've pulled it off. It's different and it's fun and unique, and in the sea of French boats that I honestly can't tell the difference between once I'm inside, they could learn a thing or two here. Character. A funny side note, the couple on board at the table while I was filming were signing the papers to buy their brand new boat. The salesman uses this Elan as his office because it's so roomy and the air conditioning is so good. However, they weren't buying this Elan. They were signing the papers for their brand new Catalina. This Elan is the 3-cabin version of this boat with matching aft cabins of reasonable size with their own windows and hatches, which is nice. Forward on this model is a large head with a shower opposite a dedicated nav station and desk. The main saloon here is very simple. A massive table, a long L-shaped galley, and while this is very nice, spacious, and roomy, it is very much meant to be used at anchor. You won't find fiddles or handholds or really anywhere to brace yourself if you intend to use this space of the boat at all while you're at sea. This is an anchorage boat made to make day hops around the Med or Caribbean, and not really meant to make long passages where you might need a sea berth or have to cook meals while you're underway. Up front we have the owner's cabin V-berth with its own head with a shower and a lot of space. Very big, very functional, and very easy to live with. The more I was on board this boat, the more I felt that easy to live with was kind of the name of the game when they designed this. They weren't fixated on anything but making your life better while you sail around paradise and live mostly on the hook. You can also have any engine you want bolted to the sail drive in this boat as long as it's a 4-cylinder Yanmar, and we can't really fault them for that choice. But it paints an interesting picture. The standard engine on this boat is the Yanmar 45, which pushes this 24,000-pound boat along just fine. Or you can opt to upsize to the 57 horse, or even Yanmar's massive 80 horsepower. This boat motors along well over 8 knots with the big engine. So while it has an adjustable backstay and electric winches, it's not really set up for long passages offshore. It's set up to motor very strongly, be comfortable when it's not heeling, and be very easy to live with in an anchorage. Keels come in one that's just over 6 feet or one just over 5 feet, both of cast iron, and you can option for a second water tank being added to hold an extra 124 gallons. This is a cruising boat, and while it's sailed about average in all the tests that it's been under, livability at anchor looks wonderful. What do you guys think? This versus all the French boats. They're all $700,000 now anyway. But is Elan bringing enough to the table here? I can't wait to hear what you think in the comments. Also, Practical Sailor is looking for talent, people who want to write articles or create video content to make some extra cash. If you have something to offer to the sailing world, we'd love to hear from you over at practical-sailor.com/apply. I'll see you guys next time.